This conference will now be recorded.
So in the previous session, we have discussed about the synchronous operations and the asynchronous operations. We have discussed what exactly the synchronous operations and what are the various drawbacks are available inside the synchronous operations, and how can we overcome those problems with the help of asynchronous operations by using the parallel processing we have discussed. So now today we'll see the various ways to implement the asynchronous operations that already we have discussed in the previous session. Salesforce has given multiple ways in order to implement the asynchronous operations. Like we have batch programming, schedule programming, flex queues, future methods, and the queuable interface or the queuable Apex. These are the various features are available as part of Apex programming, which you can use to implement the asynchronous operations inside your Salesforce instance. So now let's see the batch programming first. Each and every feature we'll see one. Batch programming or batch Apex. So what exactly the batch programming? What exactly the batch Apex? How to implement this batch programming as part of your Salesforce instance? Now let's see practically in this case. Now, basically, batch programming is used to process the millions of records by dividing them to the various small pieces called as batches. Okay, whatever the records you would like to process, it may be millions of records also. It may be millions of records also. We can process those millions of records. We can perform the operations on the millions of records by dividing them to the various small pieces called as batches. Now, so now in this case, you can raise a question, sir, why should we go for batch programming? We are having some data loader is available. And then by using data loader also, we can able to process the records up to 5 million records. We can able to insert the records, we can update the records, delete the records, all these things we can able to process. But sometimes I would like to process 100 million records or 50 million records. Then what we can do? Do I need to process 5 million, 5 million, 5 million, 5 million like that 10 times to process all the 50 million records? Will it be taking more time, right? It will be killing your time, right? Yes, it's a time consuming process. So that too, by using this data loader, simply we can insert, we can update, we can delete like that. But in some cases, I want to do some calculations also. I want to update the record based on some calculation. But in data loader, we can't do all these things manually. Because if it is one record or two record, I can do the calculation manually. Suppose if it is some multiple record, then I can't do the calculations. It's a problem. So for that reason, we are using the help of batch programming or batch Apex. So by using this batch programming, we can able to process a maximum of, okay, we can process maximum of 50 million records. By using this batch programming, we can process maximum of 15 million records in one shot. That possibility is there by dividing them all these records, by dividing all these 50 million records into the various batches. By dividing the records to the various batches. So instead of considering all these 50 billion records within a single transaction, I want to divide these records into the various small pieces called as batches. Now, so basically why we will use this batch programming? Batch programming is used to perform the long running operations. Okay, long running operations. Whenever if you want to perform the long running operations, to perform the long running operations. Long running operations means what? Which will be taking more time to process the record, because if the number of records are more, definitely it will take some more time to process. So in this case, to perform that long running operations, we are using batch programming. Then where this the batch program will get executed? Within my organization? No. Batch programmings are always executing outside of the organization by placing inside your Salesforce queue, that is called as Apex queue. These are always running outside of the organization. Outside of the organization by placing inside the Apex queue. By placing inside the Apex queue, okay, these are executing. That means these are executing outside of your organization. So there is no impact on your organization. So you can continue with work as it is. In the background, it will be running, okay, the operations outside of your organization. The flexibilities are available over here as part of batch program. Then, how this batch program will get executes internally? Okay, how this batch program will get executes internally? So now let me explain this concept over here. How the batch program will get executes internally? Okay, let me explain. Basically, batch programming concept is not a new. Okay, it's a very general concept. It's a very regular concept which we are doing in our daily life every day, 3 times in our home. Okay, this concept is not a new concept. Every day we are doing this particular task 3 times per day in our home. Now, let me explain that concept so that you can able to understand the batch programming concept very easy. Now, let me explain the general scenario so that you can understand very easily this batch concept. For example, assume that I have a small family. Okay, I have a small family. I have a small family. In this family, we have 4 family members. Okay, we have 4 family members. I have a small family. In this family, I have 4 family members. We have these 4 family members. So these are the 4 family members are there. So these family members are nothing but father, mother, and the 2 kids. Okay, father, mother, and the 2 kids. 4 family members are there. It's a very small family. Now every day 3 times they're preparing some food for these family members, right? Yes. So every day 3 times they're preparing the food for these family members. Now tell me, will the food is preparing separately for each and every family member? Or will they prepare the food commonly, nothing but a combined, okay, the food they're preparing for all the 4 family members? It's a combined. That means they're not preparing the food separately for each and every member. They're preparing inside a very big bowl, and then the same food they're going to be sharing by all the 4 family members. Now, for example, so assume that it's a dinner time. Okay, for example, it's a dinner time. So they have prepared some food. Okay, they have prepared some food. So inside this family, they have prepared some food. Assume that this is the big bowl that we have. They have taken a very big bowl. In this big bowl, okay, they have prepared some food. In this big bowl, they have prepared some food. They have prepared some food inside this big bowl over here. They have prepared that food inside this big bowl. So now the food is ready. Okay, the food is ready. They have prepared that food for all these 4 family members inside a big bowl. Now the food is ready. Now it's a dinner time. What these people will do, all these 4 members will sit together. Okay, all these 4 members will sit together and then they would like to have the dinner. So all these 4 members will sit together. They would like to have that dinner. So whatever the 4 members are there, these 4 members will sit together in order to have the dinner. Okay. So in order to have this particular food, each and every person is having their own plate. Okay, every person is having their own plate. They will be collecting their own plate. Every person will be having their own plate. Assume that, for example, this is a plate. So this is a small plate there. Each and every person is having its own plate. Father is also having his own plate, and the mother is having, okay, her own plate, and then both the kids are having their own plates. So these are the 4 family members are there. Now it's a dinner time, so all these 4 family members are sitting together. They would like to have the food. So now, once all these 4 members are sit together, they would like to collect the food from this particular bowl. Okay, they're collecting the food from the bowl. So whatever the food is available inside this particular bowl, they're collecting the food through a small spoon. Okay, they're collecting a spoon. Through that spoon, they would like to collect the food they're placing inside this plate. Whatever the food they want, whatever the quantity they want, they're going to placing that food, okay, inside this plate. Depends upon the requirement. Depends upon, okay, the person, they would like to collect some food from that particular bowl and then they're placing inside their plate. So whatever the food they want, they're placing inside that bowl. That means inside the plate. So now, for example, assume that here, this is the father. This person is father. And then mother. And then son. And a daughter. 2 kids are there. Okay, 2 kids. Now, for example, assume that father. So now father has collected some food from the bowl by using a small spoon. He has placed some food inside this particular plate. Now the food is available inside the plate. Now tell me, can we have this whole food at a time? Can I have this entire plate of food at a time? No, I can't have that food at a time. Then what we can do? We need to divide this food to the various small pieces. We need to divide this food to the various small pieces. Like take a small piece, have it, and then take the second piece, have it, and then one more piece and have it, and then one more piece and have it. Like that, we can continue this process till the plate is empty. Okay, till the plate is empty, we'll continue this process. Once the plate is empty, then we can able to go to that, okay, hand wash, and we can make your hand washes. Okay, we can go to that, okay, the hand wash, and then we can make that hand wash. We can go outside wherever you want. This is a process is happening in this case. That means what we are doing, we can't able to have this entire food at a time. So whatever the food that we have, okay, whatever the food that we have, this entire food I'm going to be dividing to the various small pieces. Whatever the food that we have, we are dividing this whole food to the various small pieces, and then we can able to eat each and every piece separately over here. We can eat each and every piece separately. Okay, we are dividing this whole food to the various small pieces, and we can take each and every piece and we can have it. That means what? We are dividing this whole food to the various small pieces, and then we are going to be having that food over here. This is what we are doing as part of our daily life. Now, the same thing everybody is doing, right? Yes, nothing different. Even though you may be US, you may be from India, you may be from Japan, Germany, wherever you are, but we are doing the same thing daily 3 times in our home. That means what? Instead of having that whole plate of food at a time, because we can't digest that whole thing. We can't accommodate the whole plate of food inside my mouth at a time. So what we can do, we can divide that food to the various small pieces. Take a small piece and then have it, and then take another piece and have it, and then take another piece, we can have it like that. This process we are keep on continuing till the plate is getting empty. So once the plate is empty, then we can make a hand wash also. This is what we are doing, like the similar way, okay, like the similar way, okay, like the similar way. So now here in this case, so whatever this particular small family is available, this small family is nothing but, okay, this small family is nothing but my organization. This is nothing but my organization. This particular bowl is nothing but my object. This particular bowl is nothing but my object. Now, in this case here, okay, in this case, inside this particular bowl, it is having so much of food. This food is called as the records. This food is called as records. Records. So many records are available. Millions of records are available. Billions of records are also available inside my table. But I would like to process some records. Then what we can do, we are collecting these records. Okay, we are collecting these records. From this bowl, we are placing inside my plate. This plate is nothing but a temporary memory. Okay, this plate is nothing but a temporary memory. This plate is nothing but temporary. This plate is nothing but temporary memory. In this temporary memory, we are placing the records. Once the records has been placed, then we are dividing this record to the various small pieces. That each piece is called as, okay, that each piece is called as a batch. That each piece is called as a batch. So whatever the records you would like to process, we are having some billions of records are available inside my object. From this one, what records you would like to process, what records you would like to delete, what records you would like to update, we can able to collect those records through an SQL query, place inside your temporary memory. That means like as our plate. Our plate is nothing but our temporary memory. Place those records inside the temporary memory. Once the records are available inside the temporary memory, then we can process it. How? We can't process all the records at a time. We can't consider all the records inside a single transaction. Divide these records into the various small pieces called as batches. So whenever if we are going to be processing the records by dividing them to the various small pieces called as batches, then it is called as batch processing, or this is also called as batch programming. This is also called as batch Apex in Salesforce. Okay, we are dividing them to the various small pieces called as batches. Each batch will be having some specific number of records. Okay, each batch will be having some specific number of records here. When coming to the batch size, it is having some records available. When coming to the batch, it will be having the minimum number of records. Minimum batch size will be 1, and the maximum batch size will be okay 2000, and the default batch size will be 200. Now this information already I have given during your data loader concept. During data loader also, data loader internal concept is batch programming, nothing different. Whatever the data loader that we are using, okay, to process the records, to insert, update, delete, export, all these things, internal programming, internal development of data loader is nothing but your batch programming concept. That's it, simple. Okay, so we are dividing the records to the various small pieces called as batches, where we are going to be dividing the records to the various batches of size where we can indicate the minimum batch size as 1. That means each batch can have minimum 1 record or maximum 2000 records, not more than that. So we can indicate, we can decide how many number of records should be there per batch. Like for example, whenever you are having some food, suppose if you're in hurry, because if you're having some other work is there immediately, then we can take some more quantity of food in the hand and we can have it directly here. That means fastly we can have the food. Okay, fastly we can have the dinner or the lunch also, breakfast also, because I will have to go to office here. I need to catch a bus, so I don't have much time. So I would like to have that food very fastly. Sometimes today is Saturday, today is Sunday. Okay, today my office is off. I don't have any work, so I would like to have that breakfast here. So we will go to a restaurant. We'll spend some 2 hours of time to have that breakfast also, lunch also, dinner also. Slowly we can able to have that small quantity of food. We can have it here. So we can spend some more time. Like the similar way here also, we can decide how many number of records you would like to consider per batch. So upon indicating that batch size, minimum batch size should be 1, maximum we can able to consider 2000 records per batch. If it did not specify any batch size, then by default Salesforce is considering the default batch size as 200. Okay, this is the internal implementation. So if you want, you can specify the batch size. If you did not specify any batch size, then by default Salesforce is considering the default batch size as 200. This is the internal implementation of that. Now, in this case, here you can raise a question. Sir, how can we divide these records to the various small batches? Now let's see. So now the food is available inside this particular big bowl. Okay, the food is available inside a big bowl, and then as a human being, as a person, I'm taking a small spoon because the food is very hot. I can't take it through my hand. That's what here I'm taking a small spoon. Through a spoon I will collect the food from my particular bowl. I'm placing inside my temporary bowl. That means inside my plate. Okay, so I'm collecting the food from that bowl through a small spoon. I will be placing that food inside my plate so that I can able to have that food. Now here in this case, what happened, we are collecting the food, we are placing inside the plate, and then we can divide that food into the various small pieces and we can have it. Now for example here, how can we collect that food? Through a spoon. So now that spoon is nothing but your SOQL query. Through SOQL query, we can collect that records, okay, from the object. Okay, from the object we can collect these records over here. Okay, we can collect these records. So now through an SOQL query, we can collect the records and we can place inside this temporary memory. Okay, temporary memory. Then that means this spoon is nothing but my SOQL query. So it will collect the records from the table. It will be placing inside my temporary memory. Now, in this case, once the records are available inside the temporary memory, what we need to do, we have to divide the records to the various small pieces. Okay, we need to divide the records to the various small pieces over here. Then how can we divide these records to the various small pieces? Now let's see practically, and how can we process it? In order to divide the records to the various small pieces and to process each and every batch record separately, we are using an interface. Okay, Salesforce has given an interface called as database.batchable interface. Batchable as a subject interface. So this is an interface, ready-made interface which has been given by Salesforce. So now in this case, you can raise a question, sir, what is the difference between a class and interface? Class is having some ready-made methods which contain some business logic inside this, but interface is also like as class. Interface is also like as a class. Interface is also having some methods are available, but those methods doesn't have any implementation. No body, no business logic inside that methods. We have to provide the implementation for those methods. That is the difference, nothing else. Okay, we have to provide the implementation for those interface methods. Now, in this case, database.batchable is a ready-made interface which has been given by Salesforce, which contains all the functionalities to divide the records to the various small batches, and we can process each and every batch record separately. So once the records are available inside my temporary memory, from there we need to divide those records to the various small batches, and then we need to process each and every batch records separately. So to process those batch records separately by dividing them to the various small batches, then we are going to be using the help of a feature called as database.batchable interface. Database.batchable is a ready-made interface which contains all the functionalities inbuilt, okay, which is used to perform, which is used to process the records by dividing them to the various small pieces called as batches. Okay, in order to implement the batch processing, okay, in order to divide the record to the various small batches and to process the records, whatever the features are required, all the features are available inbuilt inside this database.batchable interface. Now, so now here in this case, okay, now here in this case, so now my food is available inside my plate. So now I would like to have the food. Okay, I would like to have the food. Then how can we have the food? We're taking some small pieces and then we can have it. So as a human being, as a person, whenever I'm having that food, okay, three parts in our body will be getting work. Okay, three parts in our body will get work. Like it will be utilizing my hand and my mouth and then my brain. Upon having that food, it will be utilizing three parts of your body, like as hand, your mouth, and then your brain. Then initially what it will do, once the food is readily available inside your plate, once the food is available inside the plate, immediately brain is instructing to your hand, so now take a small piece of food and then give it to the mouth. Based on the instruction of the brain, the hand will go to that plate, it will take a small piece, it will give it to the mouth. Then mouth will be start eating that food. Once the food has been done, once it is eating that food, then it is giving instruction to the brain, I'm done with that eating that food, please give me the next piece. Then brain is instructing to the hand, so please take the second piece and give it to the mouth. Then brain, the mouth will be taking that second piece, it will be having that, and then it will be informing to the brain, I'm done with the second piece also, give me the third piece. Like that, this process will be keep on continuing till the whole plate is empty. So three parts are working in our body, my brain and my hand and my mouth. So in this case, what happened? My brain is instructing to that hand, please take a small piece and give it to the mouth. The mouth will be processing that. So these are the three parts are working in our human body. Like the similar way, in order to perform this operation, in order to process the records by dividing them to the various small pieces, inside this database.batchable interface, we have three methods are available. Three methods are available inside this particular database.batchable interface. Because I told you, in order to process the records by dividing them to the various small pieces called as batches, we are using database.batchable interface. So how it is using that? By using these three ready-made methods. What are the three ready-made methods are available as part of this batchable interface? It is having three methods are available. First one is the start method. Second one is execute method. Third one is finish method. It's a common question in every interview. It's a common question in every interview. What are the various methods are available inside this batchable interface? Batchable interface contains the three methods: start method, execute method, and the finish method. Okay, start method, execute method, and the finish method. These are the three methods are available. Okay, now then what this start method will do, what this execute method will do, what this finish method will do. Okay, so now what is the functionality of each and every method? Start method, execute method, and the finish method. Now let me explain, then we'll move forward to the syntactical part. Now, so as part of this batch programming, okay, it is having an execution lifecycle. Let me show you that. So let me explain this batch programming execution lifecycle. So this is the batch programming execution lifecycle is available. Now, so let me explain. So this is my database, okay, where exactly all the Salesforce objects will be getting insights. That is my database.com. That you know that, okay, Salesforce is maintaining its own database that is called as a database.com. Salesforce is maintaining its own database that is called as a database.com. Now, in this database.com, I have a table. That means I have an object with the name account. It's an account object. In my account object, assume that I'm having 20 million records are available. Okay, I'm having some 20 million records are available, okay, inside my database, inside my account object. Inside my account object, I'm having some 20 million. That means almost 2 crore records are available. 1 million means 10 lakhs. 20 million means 2 crore records are available, okay, inside my table. Now, assume that I want to update all these 2 crore records. Okay, I want to update the field value of all these 2 crore records. So there is a field is available inside my table. For example, contact number field. So I would like to update this contact number for all the 2 crore records. So if I'm using data loader, what needs to be done? We need to process 50 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 50 lakhs like that. It's a very lengthy process. I don't want to go with that. I want to do it in one shot. So in this case, that too, if it is a one-time task, then I can manage through data loader. But it's a regular operation I need to do. So for that reason, I don't want to go with the data loader. I would like to go with the batch processing. Now, so in this case here, these are the 2 crore records are available which I would like to update. I would like to update the contact number field of these 2 crore records. So in this case, first of all, what needs to be done? In this case, we need to collect the records and then we need to divide them to the various batches. We need to process it. So for that reason here, we are using database.batchable interface. In this database.batchable interface, we have a method called as start method, execute method, finish method. 3 methods are available. These are the 3 methods are available. Start method, execute method, finish method. Then what this start method will do basically? So now first of all, start method is going to be collecting the records from this table through an SQL query and then place those records inside the temporary memory. Okay, place those records inside the temporary memory. How many records it will collect? Through this particular start method, we can fetch maximum of 50 million records. 50 million records means what? 5 crore records we can able to process in one shot. 5 crore records we can process through batch programming. That possibility is available. We can process 5 crore records. That facility is available as part of this batch programming. So now tell me, how can we get these 5 crore records? Can I go with a normal SQL query? Okay, can I go with a normal SQL query? Like a select ID, comma, name, comma, rating, comma, phone from account. Can I go with a normal SQL query will return how many records? 50,000, not more than that. That is the limitation. Then how can we execute this? How can we collect? For that one, we are using a method called as database.getQueryLocator. Database.getQueryLocator. Database.getQueryLocator is a method so which will be executing the specified SQL query, and this method is having the capability to fetch maximum of 50 million records. Okay, this method will execute the specified SQL query. It will be collecting the maximum of 50 million records. Okay, 50 million records, and then these records it will place inside the temporary memory. Why? Because is okay, these many number of records I can't place inside my collection. My collections are not having the capability to store these many number of records. 5 crore records we can't store inside the collection. Collection is not having that much of capability. For that one, it is going to storing all these 50 million records inside a location called as a temporary memory. This is the functionality of this particular database.getQueryLocator method. So upon collecting the records to process through the batch programming, we are going to be executing an SQL query. This SQL query we are executing with the help of a method called as database.getQueryLocator method. This database.getQueryLocator method will execute this SQL query. It will return maximum of 50 million records. That means 5 crore records it will return, and those records it will be placing inside the temporary. This is my temporary memory. In this temporary memory, the records will be getting placed. So once the temporary memory has been placed with these records, then whatever the starting memory address is available, this starting memory address will be written by this. This is the functionality of this method. Okay, simply what it will do now, get query locator method will execute the query, collect the records from the table, place inside the temporary memory. That starting memory address it will return. That's it. Its job is over. This is the functionality of get query locator method. Now, as soon as this method temporary memory address is written by this method, then what it will do, we need to divide the records to the various small pieces. Okay, we need to divide the records to the various small pieces. How? For that one, we are using a class called as database.queryLocator class. Database.queryLocator. Don't get confused here. Okay, this is the get query locator is a method, query locator is a class. Query locator is a class. Okay, get query locator is a method. So get query locator class will be collecting that starting memory address. Based on that memory address, it will go to that temporary memory location. Whatever the records are available, these records will be divided into the various small pieces. Okay. So now observe the scenario here. Observe this functionality. So the get query locator method, what it will do, it will collect the records from the table through an SQL query. Those records are placing inside the temporary memory. This temporary memory starting address it will return. That's it. Its job is over. Get query locator method's job is over. Then this memory address will be catching by the query locator class. Based on this memory address, it will go to that location. Whatever the records are available inside this temporary memory, these records are divided into the various small pieces called as batches. Then who is dividing the record to the various batches? Okay, this will be taken care by query locator class. A database.query locator is a standard class which will be taking care of dividing the records to the various small batches based on the batch size which you have indicated. Then what is the batch size that we can specify? Batch size should be minimum 1, maximum 2000. If you did not specify any batch size, by default Salesforce is considering the default batch size as 200. Okay, this is operation is going to be happening in start method. So start method is going to be collecting the records from the table which you would like to process. Those records it is placing inside the temporary memory, and then these records will be dividing to the various small pieces called as batches, okay, with the help of this query locator class. Once the records are ready, okay, once the records has been divided to the various small pieces, what this start method will do is, start method is going to be collecting the first batch records, okay, collecting the first batch records. This first batch records it will pass to that execute method, okay, to pass to that execute method. Now that means it's like as a hand, it's like as a hand. So now here in this case, the hand is going to be collecting the first piece of food, give it to the mouth. The mouth will be eating that. That mouth is nothing but my execute method. Okay, that mouth is nothing but my execute method. So start method is going to be collecting the batch one record, first batch records, and this batch records is passing to that execute method. Execute method will be performing the operation on that records. That means whatever the operations you want to do on those records, that operations a business logic we have to write inside this execute method. In this execute method only, we have to write the business logic over. Whatever the operations you want to do, maybe updation, deletion, undeletion, whatever, anything, that business logic we have to write inside this execute method. So in this execute method, we have to write that business logic here, which you would like to perform. Whatever the operations you want to do, okay, on those records, that business logic you have to write inside this execute method. Now, So now here in this case here, so once that business logic has been written, okay, once a business logic has been written, this execute method will be collecting that batch records, it will be start processing that, and it will be committing the changes back to the database. It will commit the changes back to the database, and then once the operation is done, it will be informing to the start method, boss, I'm done with the first batch record, so please pass me the second batch. Then what this start method will do? Start method is collecting the second batch records, and this second batch records it is passing to the start execute method. Now this execute method will take the second batch records, it will perform the operation, it will commit the changes back to the database. Then it will be informing to the start method, I'm done with that second batch, so please give me the third batch. So there it is passing the third batch records. Like that here, this process will be keep on continuing till all the batches has been completed. Okay, till all the batches has been completed. So in this case, what happened? Once all the batches has been executed, then finally, now the start method is informing to the finish method, boss, we are done with all the batch processing. We don't have any more batches, so please execute that finish method. Finish method is used to write the post execution logic. That means once the batch programming execution has been done, if you want to perform any other operation, like as if you want to send any email notifications, if you want to invoke some any other batches, that business logic, that post execution logic we are writing inside this finish method. So finish method will be having post execution logic. That means once the operations has been done, once the records has been processed, then what I need to do finally? You want me to send any email notification, or you want me to invoke another batch? Like that, what we can do? That operation we are writing inside this finish method. This is how the batch process will get executed internally. Now, so in this case, what happened? It is going to be okay processing all the batches. Once all the batches has been executed, then finally it will be executing that finish method. Okay, finally it will be executing that finish method. In this finish method, we are writing that post execution logic. This is how the batch processing will get works internally. Okay, these are the three methods are available as part of your batch program. Then how to define these three methods? Now let me explain. Okay, now what is the syntax of this batch programming? How to prepare this batch class? Now, whenever if you want to prepare a batch class, we have to follow some certain steps. We have to follow some certain steps upon preparing this batch class. As a step one, what we need to do? As a step one, prepare a global class. Why I'm preparing a global class? Because whatever the batch class I'm preparing, where this batch class is executing outside of your organization. If you want to make a class can be accessible from outside of the organization, then which access specifier we need to use? Global. So that this is the reason for which we are indicating the batch classes as global. Okay, now create a batch class with a global access specifier, and implement the class with an interface, database.batchable, with an interface called as database.batchable. So that means, first of all, we have to prepare a global class. In that global class, we have to implement this interface database.batchable. Why? Because I want to use this class to perform the operations on my millions of records by dividing them to the various batches. So that I would like to use batchable interface. Now the syntax. Here we can specify global class name, and then this is the class. Here we need to provide the implements keyword. Implements, okay, implements. That means I'm going to be indicating the interface name, database.batchable of yes subject. That means It will be considering each and every record in the form of a subject type. Here we can write the business logic. Write the logic. This is the first step. This is the first step. So as a step 1, prepare a global class which should be implemented by an interface called as database.batchable. So that I'm going to be indicating that implements. Now, as a step 2, write the interface methods inside the class and write the business logic. So in this interface, what methods are available? That already told you. This interface contains 3 methods. First one is start, execute, finish. Then how can we write this syntax over here? Now let me explain. Assume that this is the class that I have. In this class, I need to provide that start method. This is a global method. Global start. I will add something over here. Global execute. Global finish. All these methods are global methods. Now, so in this case here, what this start method will do basically here. Start method is going to be collecting the record through an SQL query and then place those records inside the temporary memory. The temporary memory address it will returns to the query locator class. So the return type of this method is database.query locator. Okay, query locator. Okay, database.query locator. This is the return type of this method. So now this method, this is a function which will be having the return type as database.query locator. Database.query locator is a return type of this start method, where so the start method is going to be having some business logic over here. Write the business logic to get the required records from the object and return the starting memory address. Return the starting memory address. This is the functionality. Then the starting memory address we're returning to whom? To the query locator class. What this query locator class will do? Query locator class will collect that memory address. It will be dividing the records to the various small pieces called as batches. Once the records has been divided to the various batches, then we need to pass each and every batch record to the execute method. So this execute method is going to be collecting these records. It will process these records. It will be committing the changes back to the database. So it won't return anything. So that it will be having the return type as void. Global void execute. So here we need to write the business logic here. We need to write the business logic. So once the execute method has done with all the batches execution, finally it will be informing to the finish method to execute the post execution logic. Write the post execution logic. Here also it won't return anything, so it will be having the return type as void. Okay, void execute, void finish. Now, in this case here, now let me explain. So now these 3 methods are communicating with each other, right? Like start method is going to be checking the availability of execute method. If the execute method is free, then start method is passing one batch record. Then execute method will receive those batch records. It will process this, and then it is informing to that start method, boss, I'm done with that first batch, and then please give me the second batch. Then it will be passing the second batch. Once the second batch has been completed, it is informing to that start method, so boss, please give me the third batch. So it is passing that, so that these 2 methods are communicating. Once all the batches have been processed, finally it is informing to that finish method, boss, we are done with that all the batches processing, please execute the post execution logic. So these 3 methods are communicating with each other. How these 3 methods are communicating? Like for example, whenever I'm having the food, in my body, one part is controlling all the things. That is my brain. My brain is giving the instructions to the hand, please take a piece, give it to the mouth. Mouth will simply take that food, it will be having that food. And then it will be informing to the brain, boss, I'm done with that, eating that first piece, give me the second piece. Then the brain is instructing to the hand, please take the second food piece, give it to the mouth. Then this means the brain is controlling. So this brain is giving the instruction to all these two parts of my body here, remaining two parts. It is providing the communication. Like the similar way, here also three methods are communicating. How? For that one, it is providing a class called as database.batchable context. In these classes, in these methods, they will be having a parameter called as database.batchable context. So you can specify the reference name. This is one parameter. Basically, database.batchable context is a ready-made class which is providing the communication, which is providing a secured channel between all the three methods of your batch class. In this batch class, what are the three methods are available? Between those three methods, it is providing the communication mechanism. It will establish a channel, it will establish a communication mechanism through which these three methods will communicate with each other. So these three methods will be having this parameter, database.batchable context. I'm indicating some reference name. It is also having this method, database.batchable context. You can specify the reference name. Okay, now in this case, what will happen? Start method is passing one batch records to the execute method. First batch records, how many? Some 20 records, also 200 records, also maximum 2000. How to place this 2000 records? By using list collection. So this execute method will be receiving the records in the form of list collection, list of yes object. We can give that parameter. That's it. This is the syntax of your batch class, nothing else. Simple concept. Okay, if you know that concept, real world example, preparing the batch classes is very, very simple, very, very easy. That's what I have given that real world example to you, and then I have given that information to you.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So this database.query locator, it will collect the records, right?
Yes.
So even this should be in the list,
So
right?
see, basically database.query locator is a class which will be collecting that memory address, starting memory address. Based on the address, it will go to the location. It will be dividing the records to various small pieces.
Okay.
Okay. Now here in this case, these are the three methods are available: start method, execute method, and the finish
method. That database is batchable context you told, like that is for storing for this particular status of a batch, or what is the use of it?
So basically, it's not a status of that batch here. It is going to providing the establishing the communication mechanism between all the three methods. Okay, it is establishing the communication mechanism between all the three methods of your batch class, between start and the execute and the finish method. These three has to communicate, because, for example, assume that. So now I'm eating that food. My mouth is eating that food. Then can you give some more food to your mouth? No, it can't take it. Your brain won't instruct to you, so it will be giving the instruction to your hand, please wait for some time, mouth is still eating that food, let that complete, then you can give that some more food. So like the similar way, this has to communicate with each other over here. So to communicate these methods, it is providing a method class called as database.batchable context class. So based on the availability of that execute method, it is going to be passing that respective records over here.
Runtime method, right? It won't store any. It's a runtime method, right? It won't store any memory.
It won't store any memory over here. It's a runtime.
Okay.
Okay. Now
Yes.
So now here in this case, we'll see here. So in this case, we are going to be using these three methods. Okay, start method, execute, and then finish. So this is how we are going to preparing the batch class, and we are providing the implementation. So once this method is ready, then as a step, once my batch class is ready, then as a third step, we have to invoke the batch class. Invoking the batch class. How can we invoke the batch class? Now let's see practically in this case. So we need to invoke this batch class. How can we invoke that batch class? In order to invoke that batch class, we are going to be using a method called as database.execute batch method. Execute batch method. Here we can able to pass the batch class object in this case. So in this one, as a step one, create the object of the batch class. Create the batch class object. Okay, create the batch class object. And the second one, execute the batch class. Execute the batch class by using database.execute batch method. Now, so what is the syntax here? Now let me explain. Here we can able to specify database.execute batch. In this one, we have to specify the batch class object. Batch class object name aligned with that batch size. Okay, batch size. You can specify the batch size. How many records you want me to consider per batch? You can specify. Then it will be returning one ID over here. It will return one ID. That is a job ID. Because what will happen whenever I'm going to be using this execute batch method, then this method will push this batch class into your Apex queue. Okay, this method will push this batch class into the Apex queue, and then once this batch class has been pushed into the Apex queue, queue will generate one ID. Queue will allocate one ID for that batch, so that here that will be returning by this particular method. So we can collect this ID here. Once the ID has been getting collected, then we can track the status over here. As a step 4, we can track the status. Track the status of the batch class by using the below ways. In order to track the batch class status, we have two ways are available. First one is by using the wizard. Second one by using programming. Through programming also we can track the result. How can we go with the wizard? In this case, we have to go to the setup menu, go to the monitor menu in the left panel, click on jobs, click on Apex jobs. This is the way we can able to see the result of your batch class, whether the batch class has been executed or not. If it has been executed, then how many batches are available inside this? How many batches it has processed? How many batches has been failed? The whole information we can able to track inside this. That possibility will be available to you. That possibility is available to you in this case. And so that in order to track the batch class status, we are using this monitor method. Second one, through programming also. Through programming in the sense how, so now we can get the status of the batch class. Status of the batch class by querying from async Apex job object. Async Apex job object. So async Apex job is a standard object in Salesforce. Okay, async Apex job is a standard object in Salesforce in which all the batch jobs information will be getting resides, and from there we can make a query over here. How? Let me explain here. In this case, we can able to select that. Select the ID of that batch job and the status of the batch job and the total job items. Total job item, that means how many batches are available in this batch job. And then job items processed. How many batches have been processed with Salesforce? Number of errors. That means how many batches has been filled. And then created by dot email. That means the email ID of the person who has initiated this batch job from async apex job. Async apex job where ID equals to your batch job. We can specify. That means you can specify your batch job ID. Batch job ID. We can able to collect this information through programming also. So these are the 4 steps simply we need to follow upon implementing the batch classes. So we have to prepare a batch class first. And then this is the first step. As a step 2, provide the implementation for each and every interface methods. Start method, execute method, and the finish method. And then as a step 3, once a batch class is done with the required implementation, then invoke this batch class by using this execute batch method. And then we can track the status of that batch class by using that, the wizard format or by using programming. These are the 4 steps we need to follow in order to prepare the batch class. Then how to implement this batch class through programmatically, we'll see in tomorrow's session. In tomorrow's session, we'll see the practical use case and how can we implement that functionality through batch programming. We'll see practical use case.
So that invoking we will do from that debug log only.
Sorry?
Invoking from means where we are going to invoke that method.
Yeah, basically, whenever if we want to invoke this batch class, we can go to the execute anonymous window. From there, we can able to execute this batch class, or we can invoke it through another batch also, or we can invoke it through scheduling, or we can invoke it through Visualforce also. Multiple ways are there to invoke. Generally, we can go to the execute anonymous window. We can able to write this 2 lines of code, and we can execute it here. I will show you practically in tomorrow's session
Sir,
how to
and
invoke,
that job
how to see the
ID
results also.
from where we will get the job ID of a
Job ID we can able to get. Job ID we can able to get from that class called as batchable context. Batchable context is a ready-made class. In this class, it will be having a method called as get job ID. Through that method, we can able to collect the ID of the batch job. Okay.
There is means like there is no way that we will get it from that batch job from the customization window.
Batch job means
Like from the monitor setup.
From the monitor, we can go with that, but it's a manual process, right? We can go to that monitor option. There we can check their batch job status. Also, batch job ID also we can see over there. But through programming, I want to track the result immediately. At that time, we can able to go with that batchable context class, and then through that we can get the ID also. Through monitor also, we can see that batch job ID. We'll see. I will show you practically all the functionalities. Okay.
Firoz, here we don't use database.get query locator to get the data from the database.
Now, for that one that we are writing inside this start method, in this start method, we have to write this query here. Okay.
Okay.
I
Firoz.
haven't given any implementation part, just have given that syntax part. Okay. Tomorrow we'll see the practical implementation of batch process.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time. Let's meet on tomorrow at same time.
Thank you, Firoz.
Thank you, sir.